Thank you, Senator House and Senator Wicker.
Thank you very much. This late in the hearing, let's see if we could sort of summarize and make sure where we are with regard to the positions of all the companies you represent. There is a fundamental principle that any federal privacy legislation should include preemption of state data privacy laws. Do each and every one of your companies agree that our federal legislation should include preemption? Mr. Calley, and we'll go down the list.
Yes, I do.
Mr. DeVore?
Another qualified yes, Senator. The details matter a lot. I do think it's essential to avoid the risks that we've identified, which is a patchwork of state laws that have the risk of imposing regulations that don't actually serve the core interest that I think we're all focused on today, which is ensuring that customers trust the ways in which their data is being used.
Qualified yes. Mr. Enright?
Yes, Senator. We support a uniform rule of law across the country.
Mr. Kiernan?
Yes, Senator, but I'd add, for Twitter, it's not the primary reason that we're here. We do believe this law needs to balance the protection of individuals' rights with the freedom to innovate, so preemption is a part of that, but it's not the
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'm going to ask about other things, too. Mr. Tribble?
As I said before, yes, assuming that it meets the bar of protecting consumers meaningfully.
And
Yes,
Ms.
Senator.
Welch? Okay. And do we all agree that the FTC is a place for primary enforcement of this? Mr. Calley and on down the line.
Yes.
Yes, Senator.
Yes, Senator.
Yes, Senator.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about this this issue where we might not be quite so uniform. And so let me direct this to Mr. DeVore, Mr. Enright, and Mr. Kiernan, whose companies are members of the Internet Association. The Internet Association, on the issue of technology and sector neutrality, has called for federal privacy legislation that is indeed technology neutral and sector neutral, and that the legislation should include protections that are consistent for individuals across products and services and apply to online and offline companies alike. So, Mr. DeVore, Mr. Enright, and Mr. Kiernan, we'll begin with Mr. DeVore. Your companies are members of the Internet Association. Does that mean that your company believes that edge providers and ISPs and all other online entities should be subject to the same privacy requirements?
Thank you, Senator. Yes, and again, we believe the core principles here should apply to everyone, and that's simplicity, that customers understand how their data is being used, that it's used responsibly, consistent with their expectations, and that they have ultimate control.
And Mr. Enright?
Yes, Senator. I would refer back to the legislative framework that was recently published and the general principles of choice, transparency, and control, which all, I think, reflect an understanding that a uniform application of law, a harms-based approach across industries enforced by the FTC is the right way to go.
Mr. Kiernan?
We would echo both of those sentiments.
Okay, so now let me turn to Mr. Calley and Ms. Welch. Do you think a national privacy law should take an online entity's business model into account, or should all online entities be subject to the same data protection requirements? In other words, do you differ at all with the previous three witnesses? Mr. Calley?
Senator, the information that a consumer gives to a company is sensitive or it's not sensitive without regard to what the company's particular business model is. And the fact that we today see business models that we think are different, a business model that is a free model online because it's fully ad-supported versus a model that's fully supported by the subscriber, that doesn't really describe reality. Increasingly, you're seeing hybrid models where you have a mix of subscriber payments, but they're discounted because there's also ad support. So the distinction between the models also fades. So just to repeat, from a consumer perspective, it's all the same information, and it's sensitive or not. And then from a model perspective, we have a mix of models in the market.
Oh, okay, well, can I get a yes or no? Do you agree with the Internet Association's position with regard to this issue?
I agree that it should be, yes, I do, consistent.
Okay. And Ms. Welch, you have the last word
Yes.
Okay. And my time just expired. Thank you very much.